Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
This time, we're kind of diving into the world of local politics, right?
Okay.
Because it looks like you're thinking about maybe being a mayor someday.
Yeah.
We've got your RoleCatcher excerpts right here.
And
Let me tell you, some of this stuff is seriously eye-opening.
it's true. So many people think of mayors as just, I don't know, cutting ribbons,
Right.
going to events.
Yeah.
But RoleCatcher, it like pulls back the curtain and shows you how much more goes into it.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
RoleCatcher highlights that being mayor, it isn't just about leadership.
Right.
It's about being the city's CEO.
Yeah.
You're not just setting some vision,
You're overseeing budgets, working with that city council.
promoting your city.
Even attracting businesses is on the list.
Yeah.
Was there anything in there that, when you were looking through it, surprised you?
Definitely. One thing that I thought was really fascinating that RoleCatcher talked about
Right.
was that mayors who focus on like financial transparency
Okay.
tend to have higher approval ratings from their constituents,
Interesting.
which makes sense. People trust leaders who are open about how they're spending taxpayer money,
Right.
but it's not always easy to achieve like that level of transparency,
Right.
especially with the complexities of local government budgets and stuff.
You know, that really resonates with me.
There's something about knowing where your money's going that just makes you feel more heard.
Yeah.
And that's just one piece of the puzzle, right?
Right.
We've also got leadership opportunities, the chance to make a real difference in your community, enacting policies.
That's a lot to handle.
Absolutely. And RoleCatcher doesn't shy away from all the challenges either.
Right.
You know,
Long hours.
Public scrutiny,
Yeah.
constantly battling budget constraints.
Yes.
It takes a special kind of person to thrive in that environment.
You need thick skin, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But RoleCatcher does mention that those who are driven by public service find it incredibly fulfilling. Right.
Yeah, they do.
So let's say you're ready to jump into the world of local government.
Where do you even begin?
Well, I think RoleCatcher suggested that you could start with maybe internships, entry-level positions in government offices, or even community organizations, even volunteering for leadership roles. I think anything to give you a taste of what's involved.
It's about getting your feet wet, right?
Yeah.
Proving you're serious about public service.
Not afraid of a little hard work.
Exactly.
And then as you gain that experience, then you can start climbing the ladder.
Okay.
RoleCatcher kind of lays out a clear trajectory,
Okay.
almost like a decision-making tree,
Right.
where each step you're equipped with more responsibility.
Okay.
You might begin as like a junior administrator, then progress to senior administrator, potentially even chief executive officer in larger jurisdictions.
Speaking of challenges, RoleCatcher also highlights the skills you need to really excel in this role.
And they emphasize a blend of like hard skills, soft skills.
Yeah.
They're recommending a degree in a public administration, political science, or even law. But it's not just about what you know, right?
Absolutely not.
You need those people skills we were
Right.
talking about. Communication.
Yeah.
Being able to build a consensus.
Okay.
And your interpersonal skills are crucial.
Yeah.
Because remember, as mayor, you're constantly going to be interacting with all different kinds of stakeholders.
Sure.
From your constituents to your council members to other government officials.
So it's about bringing people together, right?
Yeah.
Finding common ground, working towards shared goals.
Okay, so we've got the people person side down.
What about the policy wonk side?
Yeah.
What does RoleCatcher say about that?
Well, I mean, as mayor, you're dealing with budgets, you're dealing with policy analysis, strategic planning,
Right.
all those analytical skills.
Yeah.
Those are non-negotiables.
Okay.
One interesting point I thought RoleCatcher made was that mayors who can really effectively leverage data analysis.
Often have a better grasp on what's going on.
Okay.
The community's needs,
Okay.
which can lead to more targeted and effective policies.
That's fascinating. I'd never thought about data analysis being a key skill for a mayor.
It makes sense, though.
Right.
The more you understand the needs of your constituents,
The better you are to address them. Right.
absolutely.
So you're saying it's this balance,
Yes.
the analytical mind to make the tough decisions,
Yeah.
but also the emotional intelligence to navigate all those relationships,
Always.
which are very complex.
And speaking of navigating tricky situations, let's move on to interview prep.
Okay.
Because if you're serious about running for office,
Right.
you're going to need to ace those tough questions.
Okay, so you're about to throw your hat in the ring.
What kind of questions are we talking about here?
Well, Think about the biggest challenges that your community is facing.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher provides some really insightful, examples. Like, how would you address economic challenges in your city?
Sure.
Or how are you planning to tackle social inequality?
Right.
And of course, everybody wants to know your plans for public safety.
Right, of course, yeah.
These are real-world issues that
Yeah.
demand thoughtful,
Right.
well-informed responses.
So it's not just about having the answers.
Right.
It's about demonstrating that you understand the problem.
And you have a vision for addressing them.
Yeah, exactly.
RoleCatcher actually highlights a case study where a mayor used data, like on service requests, to actually pinpoint and identify neighborhoods that were being underserved.
And then direct resources more effectively.
Yeah, interesting.
That kind of proactive approach, I think,
Using data to inform decisions.
is really what seems to resonate with voters these days.
Absolutely. It's about showcasing your thought process, your problem-solving skills,
Yeah.
your ability to think on your feet. It's about really conveying your passion for public service, your commitment to your community, and your vision for a better future.
And I imagine authenticity and empathy go a long way in those interviews.
Oh, absolutely.
So you've aced the interview, you're in office.
RoleCatcher suggests that technology is key for modern mayors.
It's true. Technology is becoming
Increasingly important for modern mayors.
okay.
But it's not just about using social media.
Right.
It's about leveraging technology to improve services.
That includes your constituents in new and innovative ways.
No, that's where things get really interesting for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so tell me more about that.
Okay. Well, one area where technology is having a huge impact is in bridging that gap
Okay.
between the government and,
Yeah.
the governed, the people.
Right.
RoleCatcher points to things like online town halls, digital platforms for reporting issues, even using data analytics to figure out what the community needs are more effectively.
Okay.
It's about using technology to make government more responsive.
Yet efficient.
It's like taking the pulse of your city
Yes.
in a way that we just couldn't even do before.
Right.
So instead of relying on these traditional methods, you're using technology to gather feedback.
Track progress.
And you're getting a much clearer picture
Yeah.
of what your constituents really need.
Exactly.
And it's not just about gathering the information.
It's about using it effectively.
Right.
RoleCatcher highlights this case study
Where a mayor used crime data analysis.
to actually pinpoint areas that needed more police patrols.
Okay.
And it resulted in a significant drop in crime rates.
That's a great example of using technology
To make data-driven decisions.
that can really improve public safety.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be just these big issues like crime.
Technology can help streamline all those,
Everyday interaction the citizens have with their local government.
you're talking about making those essential services, like
Yeah.
paying bills or applying for permits,
Yes,
more accessible.
exactly.
Because I'll admit,
Navigating those bureaucratic processes can be
a real headache.
absolutely.
RoleCatcher talks about how cities are implementing,
Online service portals
Okay.
that let residents access information.
pay bills, even report potholes, right,
Right.
from their own homes.
Wow.
It's about making government work for the people.
On their terms.
That's huge.
I mean, think about how much time and frustration
right?
that could save people.
Yeah.
But going back to the idea of transparency,
Yeah.
it seems like technology can play a role there too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Making government more...
Open up accountable.
Absolutely.
RoleCatcher suggests that mayors can use technology to,
Publish budgets online.
okay,
Make it easier for citizens to see...
how their money's being spent. Not just budgets, but meeting minutes,
Okay.
progress reports on initiatives.
Even live streaming council meetings.
Wow, okay.
So it's about really pulling back the curtain and letting citizens see the inner workings of
Yeah.
their local government.
Exactly.
That level of transparency.
Can be really powerful.
It is.
You can build trust.
It encourages more people to get involved.
Precisely.
Because when people feel informed and empowered,
Right.
they're more likely to engage in the democratic process. They're more likely to vote,
Go to those town hall meetings.
even run for office themselves.
It creates this ripple effect,
Yes,
strengthening the community as a whole.
it does.
But let's be real.
There's two sides to every coin.
Right.
What are some of the downsides?
Of relying so heavily on technology.
Right.
Because RoleCatcher does mention a few concerns.
They do. Yeah.
One of the big ones is the digital divide.
Right.
Not everybody has access to the internet
Sure.
or even the digital literacy skills.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you're going to rely on technology to communicate and provide these services, you need to make sure everyone can participate.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just further marginalizing certain segments of the population.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher points out that mayors need to be proactive in bridging that gap.
Okay.
Perhaps with community programs to provide internet access and training, or partnerships with local organizations that promote digital inclusion.
So it's about making sure the technology benefits everyone
Yes.
in the community,
Yes.
not just a select few. Equity needs to be at the forefront of any tech initiative.
I agree.
And of course, there's always the concern about data, privacy, and security.
Right, of course.
Players have access to so much information about their constituents.
Yeah.
And with cyber attacks becoming so common these days,
Right.
robust cybersecurity is essential.
It's funny, we hear about data breaches all the time, but we always think about it happening to like
Big companies.
or like government agencies at the national level, right? We don't often think about the data that our local governments have.
Right.
But it's just as important to protect.
It absolutely is.
And it's not just about preventing breaches
It's about being transparent,
with your constituents about how you're using their data.
how you're protecting their data.
Right.
Building trust is essential.
Transparency, equity, security,
Sounds like there's a lot to juggle when it comes to technology.
and local government.
It's true.
But even with all those
We
challenges,
can't help but be excited about the possibilities.
me too. RoleCatcher really does a great job highlighting both sides of that coin,
Yeah,
the opportunities and the challenges.
that come with technology for mayors.
It's definitely a changing world
But it has incredible potential to improve people's lives.
and create local governments that really work.
It really does feel like we're on the cusp of something big.
But with all these new tools and all this technology, it makes you wonder,
Yeah,
what does it even take to be a successful mayor these days?
that's a great question.
And actually, RoleCatcher talks about this too.
Okay.
It's not enough to just be a good leader anymore.
Right.
You need to be tech savvy.
Right.
You need to understand how to use technology. Okay.
But also be aware of those ethical considerations and
yeah.
potential problems.
It's like the job description is totally expanded, right?
Yeah.
We're not just managing budgets and going to events.
You're grappling with these huge issues like
Data privacy, cybersecurity,
Right.
making sure everyone has access to technology.
absolutely. And that's why RoleCatcher stresses that.
Yeah.
If you're considering a career in local government,
Yeah.
you have to be willing to constantly learn and adapt.
Okay.
Things are changing so fast
Right.
that mayors need to really stay ahead of the curve.
They need to constantly be evolving their skills
Okay.
and their approaches.
To meet the needs of their communities.
You've got to be adaptable, forward-thinking,
Yeah.
always willing to learn new things. It's not a set it and forget it kind of job.
It is not.
That's for sure.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
But for those who are up for the challenge,
It can be an incredibly rewarding career.
yeah.
Imagine being able to shape the future of your community. Using technology to improve public safety, to
Ah.
create economic opportunities,
Yeah.
and to build a future that's more sustainable and fair for everyone.
Now that's something I think we could all get behind.
You know, we've covered a lot of ground here today,
We
from the everyday realities of being a mayor
Mm-hmm.
to these big challenges and opportunities that technology brings.
Right.
But it really all comes back to public service in the end, doesn't it?
It really does.
And it's inspiring to see people like you.
Who really want to make a difference in their communities.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
This deep dive has been really eye-opening for me.
And RoleCatcher has given me so much to think about.
That's what we like to hear.
Just remember, the future of our communities depends on.
Engaged and informed citizens like you.
So stay curious.
Never stop asking questions.
Okay.
And who knows, maybe someday.
We'll be seeing your name on the ballot.
You never know.
Maybe I'll launch my campaign website.
With my data-driven platform for gathering constituent feedback. There you go.
But until then,
I'll be using all this knowledge to be a better citizen.
thanks for joining us on this deep dive into local government.
And until next time, keep exploring those possibilities.